Hey, good afternoon, boys and girls. Ken Smith, KenSmithFishing.com. This is going to be video number 4. Bodie's trying to help. Video number 4 in our series with Glen Freeman and Albert Collins, structure fishing on Rayburn. So the first 3 videos quite literally were as I filmed them. So we flipped the camera on when we got on the water, and you've basically seen everything we've done other than about 45 minutes of idling up and down off those ridges that we're looking at. Still haven't caught a fish, by the way, which, you know, is more the reality of what really happens out there than going out there and just whacking them, unless you're, you know, these guys are going to spots they fish for years. They're looking for fish. They're trying to show us how to find fish. So unfortunately now the wind's going to come up, and actually the wind doesn't stay up that long, but the next bit of footage I'm going to chop it up some, so I'm only going to show you either where they were saying something I thought was really interesting, and of course I didn't ask as many questions because the wind was blowing. So this is going to be a little more choppy. We're going to jump topic to topic, but I had that big list of questions you guys submitted to me before this video. So you're just going to hear me kind of bounce through the questions, asking them stuff that you guys had submitted that you wanted me to ask them. So we're going to keep this video probably in the 15-20 minute range here. We've still got a lot more good video footage to come. I know it's been a little while since I got video 3 up. I actually had to work, and I had to go to Vegas and do some stuff. That was work though, that was not goofing off. But we got this video up now, and we're working on video 5. It'll be coming up soon, but this is video 4. Albert and Glen on Sam Rayburn, showing us how to structure fish and answering our questions about fishing offshore and just about fishing in general, stuff that you guys were curious about. So here we go. Let's go to video. And apparently we got an issue because we got barking about to happen right here in the backyard. Thanks, guys. So I'm just going to stick this in here. We've idled a good 45 minutes this morning. We've not had a bite, but this is the reality of looking.
That is, yeah. We spent a lot of time looking at that screen and trying to find something those fish want to be on.
Now we're having a great time because we're talking about some of our heroes and some of the guys we fished around. The guys that were, I mean, I was just talking about, first time I ever heard the term pumpkin seed worm. A guy named Don Boney Moore down here, but well, that's some good looking stuff right there.
Yeah, a lot of bait out here. There's a lot of something on the bottom right here. I'm not sure exactly what it is. Let's see if we can get a little better picture here. Yeah, I mean, we're having a good time out here. There's fish here or something. We're having a good time out here, but usually you're out here by yourself, you're sweating, you're burning up, it ain't no fun.
Right.
We're gonna give this a look. We're gonna have to put a worm on this. So it's a deep ridge, it kind of runs out, kind of tapers a little more than some of the steeper stuff, and you know, I try to look at the long sloping ridges and the steep and try to figure out, okay, are they on this particular type of stuff today, or, you know, what are they on? And once you figure that out, then you can kind of start running some patterns, you know, concentrate a little bit more on that kind of stuff. But like for me, when I'm practice fishing, pre-fishing for a tournament, I'm gonna look at all of it. I'm gonna look at the slopes, I'm gonna look at the steep drops, I'm gonna look at the drains, I'm gonna any and everything I can, and it is hours and hours.
So in your mind, they might be on the steep stuff today, but
hold on, Glenn.
But we could have a current change, we could have generation, we could have cloud cover,
right?
And they'll change what they're set up on.
Yeah, I mean, most of the time they're probably going to be in the same general area, but they might move over and get on this steeper drop, you know, rather than out on this long extended little point sticking out here.
So I started to say this earlier, and I love this thought. I had asked Clint from Outlaw Outdoors, did he see a lot of the fish he found on his electronics? And he does. And I said, how are they set up? And he said, when I get excited is when I find fish on the bottom of the drop. And he said, because they're predators, and that tells me they're up there hunting. Tend to agree?
Yeah, I agree.
Now, having said that, Albert, you've made a comment to me that you think fish set up on Rayburn and Toledo a lot different sometimes.
I feel like they do.
Tell me about that.
Glenn can kind of talk about this probably as much as I do. I struggle at Toledo, and Glenn just friggin' whacks them over there. And don't get me wrong, now Glenn catches them over here too. There's lots of times that Glenn struggles over here.
Right.
And I think it's because he's looking at the type of stuff he looks at Toledo Bend.
Exactly.
And when I go to Toledo Bend, I'm looking at the type of stuff that I look at on Rayburn. Well, typically on Rayburn, I'm fishing these steeper drops. I hardly ever even get up on top of these ridges and look. Occasionally I catch them up there, but it's usually not the big ones. Toledo Bend, to me, it seems like I can graft all these drop-offs and get 100 yards up on the flat and find the fish. Not even around the drop-off. It don't make no sense to me. But that's the biggest difference to me between Toledo and Rayburn, the way these fish set up.
I agree. It's just a different layout on the offshore structure. I mean, it's just a different bottom. And the fish on Toledo, they're something else now. They change daily. They may be, like we're talking about, way off the bottom of the drop one day, and then the next day they'll be up on the flat, up on the ridge or hump or point or whatever. And it's how hard you got to have an open mind. You got to be prepared to do whatever it takes.
So you said you had a trip yesterday. You had a pretty good day.
Yeah, we had a pretty good day.
What were those fish where they were the prior days, or no kidding?
No, they changed.
So what happened?
They changed. I don't know. I mean, the conditions were the same. We got, kind of a little bit coolish mornings and everything. But the day
Coolish being 85.
Yeah, that's right. The day before they bit early. Yesterday they bit 11, 12 o'clock.
I think a lot of that's probably got to do with the moon too. It's time today.
It's all timing. No matter what time of the year, it's timing. And you got to be versatile. You got to be prepared.
So interesting, Albert. You seem to be your go-to looking is the crankbait a lot.
Yeah.
You just think
I'm looking for active fish, more so than fish that want to be. If I pull up to an area first, a lot of times I will throw a crankbait just to see, okay, is it bass that I'm looking at, and are they active? And a lot of times I'll catch a fish on a crankbait and they'll fire the school up and you'll catch 4, 5, or 6 of them real quick. Or sometimes I have to slow down, drag a worm, drag a jig, catch a fish or two, and then you might pick your crankbait up and throw in there and catch 2 or 3 fish real quick. To me, there's no faster way to catch them than on a crankbait, except maybe a jig and spoon. And once you get the school fired, you better take advantage of it.
you see he referenced that jig and spoon again. Do you throw a spoon on Toledo any?
I do. But more than that, I use a little bait that we made a long time ago. Albert knows what I'm fixing to say. Originally, it was called a rinky dink. It's similar to a little George, to give you an idea. It's a little tail spinner. And that's my fish locator. I mean, it can catch anything that swims out there, so you'll know what's going on that piece of structure. And a lot of times, if you see fish, you'll find out what kind of fish it is real quick. The spoon will do the same thing. Just that I kind of prefer to throw a rinky dink over there. That's called a wing dink now.
So just a quick cutaway here. If you don't know the story, go back when Ray Hanselman won the Amstead tournament. And Amstead was pretty tough if you go back and look at the results on that tournament. He threw basically one of these little tail kicker baits. I wish I could remember now which exactly one he threw, and I'm sure it's in the notes on FLW. This is a big reveal. I don't think Glenn came to this video or this day thinking he was going to tell us that this was his search bait. At some point in this video, and I think it's when the wind's blowing too much, he says he has literally had situations where he'd drop it and let it hit the bottom and just let it sit there, and they pick it up like a jig. So this is a great reveal. So we've now found out Albert loves his spoon, and now we know Glenn loves his search bait in his rinky dink. By the way, invented by a fella who passed away in 2014, who you hear him mention here, who was a life insurance agent. Unfortunately, I've never invented a bait, but out of Shreveport, Louisiana, and was a good friend of Glen's, and you'll hear more about him as the videos go on. So back to the fishing. I just thought that was interesting, and that's a really good reveal by Glen to tell us something that he likes to do. Thanks, guys.
So who's the Amstead hammer?
Ray Hanselman?
Hanselman. Isn't that the bait Hanselman won the Costa down there
I
on?
think it was.
And, you know, to reference that bait to a Texas rig, and Glen's probably the same reason I throw a rinky-dink or wing ding. That hook is not attached to that bait.
Yep.
Right. So you take a little George, and you can get the bites with a little George, but they're going to throw that little George a lot more. But with like a wing ding, it'll slide up the line.
Right.
You just got to hook this mouse.
That's right. That bass will spit that bait out. Hugh Wrinkle designed that bait years ago, and I built the first baits for Hugh. I poured the lead, painted them, and everything, and Hugh actually put the spinner on them. And he took me out and showed me, gave me a lesson of what you could do on that bait. It was incredible. The biggest bass we've ever caught was over 11 pounds on that bait. So it's not like people think a little schoolie fish bait. It's a search bait, and it works during tournaments too. So it's a good little bait.
Buck Perry'd have loved that bait, wouldn't he?
He would have loved it.
I promise you, these guys really can catch fish. I'm distracting them.
Man, this thing won't be
I done forgot all this up here.
Set this up. I'm gonna throw a little wild with crankbait here for a minute.
So, one of my guys asked, and I think you just answered the question. What are your thoughts on boat noise, transducer noise, and big motor noise screwing with fish when you're fishing offshore?
Yeah, I think it bothers them a lot of times. I don't like this spot here. If I come back to it later, if I catch a fish or two on it now, I'm gonna mark it and I'll come back to it later. I'm gonna fish it without going over the top of it.
I agree with that. I've noticed if you're fishing in an area and say one of your buddies is close to you, and he actually comes up to you to talk to you or whatever, or a boat comes too close to you, the fish, that was a little hit, somehow or another they do sense the electronics. I mean, they claim.
Of course, they are sound waves.
That's right, exactly. When you get two boats on something, I've actually seen fish just leave. White bass, for example. You'll be on a school of white bass, and another boat come close, they leave. They're gone. So there's something to that.
Do you ever turn your electronics off?
Occasionally.
Now, Albert, your normal partner, Clayton Boulware, he's real spooky about electronics, right?
Yeah, in a lot of cases, and even the big engine. I mean, there's lots of times when we go to pull up to something, you know, we'll stop 50, 60 yards out there to go in on trolling motor with, you know, and sometimes we'll turn the depth finder off when we get there. Just sometimes we won't, but yeah, that he's pretty cautious of that sound.
So when guys start circling you, that really helps, doesn't it?
Yeah, it really does.
That was just poking the bear.
It really does.
So we've now fished 3 or 4 spots, and we've spent 20, 30 minutes on each spot. Is that typical when you're looking?
Yeah, a lot of times I don't spend this much time on a spot. If it's something that I know, you know, a lot of places you pull up and you know fish should be there, and a lot of times you should get bit fairly quick, but we're just fishing a bunch of stuff that I hardly ever fish. And I'm grafting stuff, but there ought to be bass down there, but I don't know, it might be drums that we're looking at. I don't have a clue.
Well, and Glenn, you even said yesterday, you're fishing stuff you know there's fish on or around, and you didn't get bit until up in the day, right?
That's right. Yeah, I could see the fish on the electronics and everything, and they just would not fire until later on in the day. You know, just it's a good time for them. They really don't eat on these spots all day anyway, but that goes back to the timing. You got to be at the right place at the right time.
Pull back up to the same 2 hours from now and just catch one.
That's right, exactly.
I mean, there's fish here.
So in practice, you pay a lot of attention to when you get bit on a spot.
Oh yeah.
And you'll try to set your rotation based on that?
Right.
Yeah, best you can.
Yeah.
And it can change.
Sure, absolutely. That's the days when we come in shaking our head.
That's exactly right.
Glenn, is there a hydro wave on your boat?
No, sir.
Albert,
No.
on any of your mini boats?
I've got a hydro wave on a boat, but I don't use it very often. I've never been able to really tell. To me, of course, I haven't spent a lot of time messing with it. That's electronics, and I'm not.
If hydro wave wants to send you some money, would you change that answer?
Yeah, probably. No, I seriously, if I did something with hydro wave, you know, I might put a little more effort into trying to determine if it helped or not. But so far, there's been maybe one situation or two where I felt like it actually done something to help me.
I'm gonna call bull on both of y'all on that, because if it worked, if it made a difference, you'd have it. If you thought it made a difference.
Yeah, I just hadn't seen where it has done enough for me to say that it made a big difference.
All right, topic change. Back to our brush pile fishing. Typically you pull up on a brush pile that you fished years ago, and I know we all still fish brush piles. What's the first bait you're gonna throw at it?
First bait, I'm gonna throw the worm.
Because?
I just got more confidence that if I hook up with a fish in that brush pile, I'll get him out of there on a worm, and I don't want to crankbait. A lot of times you get it through there, but a lot of times that first cast you'll hang up.
Brush pile's done.
And a lot of times it'll jack a brush pile up. Now I have seen it be fishing a brush pile and not catch a fish. Get hung up, pull, break loose, shake that brush pile, and then you catch a fish or two. But it's just one of those freak things, though. It's kind of like being in a creek channel or a river system and not catching fish. Sometimes when a boat come by and it kind of churns the water up, especially in the summertime where you don't have a lot of oxygen in the water. I've seen it times, you know, in a system like that where, yeah, there's a big old stump. To where that activity would actually get a fish fired up.
All right, so question. You're sitting in a creek or a river somewhere that's 75 yards wide.
Yeah.
Would you rather a guy idle by you or run by you?
Come on, get out of my way. Run by me.
Same answer, Glenn?
Same answer.
Just don't
slow down. Go by wide open.
the higher out of the water, the less they're gonna bounce you around. Come on,
right.
get by me. Just
That's
don't run over me.
Well, I mean, we're okay if they're going to shut down an idle, but most people shut down to where they're at a high idle and they're making them big rollers behind them. And they don't turn around and look. They just, yeah, we slowed down, but you didn't slow down enough. So I'd rather people just come by wide open.
You won't give them the high sign?
A lot of times I motion them on. Come on.
Come on, get by me. So we got a little different day today. We got high skies. I mean, we got some high clouds.
We got some high clouds.
Do y'all think that? Well, let me rephrase this. When you're out fishing structure fishing offshore, would you rather it be hot, bright, high, sunny?
In a lot of cases. But for the most part, if you find an area where the fish are at, they're going to be there.
That's right. It doesn't matter. I mean, we're going fishing. We're fishing offshore. If it's cloudy, if it's sunny, whatever. If it's windy or no wind, you still got to fish it. And I've seen them on all adverse conditions. I mean, it doesn't really seem to favor anything being cloudy or being sunshiny. It just depends on the time of day. There against time.
And you're gonna tournament fish no matter what.
No matter what, it doesn't matter.
I've seen a lot of cases where it makes a difference on brush piles. You know, 'cause a lot of times if it's high and bright, those fish will get tied in a brush pile. And you really have to work that brush pile a little harder than if it's cloudy. A lot of times they'll scatter out around it. And you can catch them kind of
Pick them off. Yeah.
But as far as actually fishing structure and drop-offs, I don't think it makes a lot of difference most of the time.
But the dropping or the rising water is what? Rising water is your biggest concern when you're offshore.
Right.
Did I get a head shake over here too, Glenn?
Absolutely. I want the water stable. Could be falling, but I don't like the rising water. So definitely move them or change them.
All right, some important questions. Albert, do you believe in Bigfoot?
No.
What?
No.
Come on, man. Not even a skunk ape in Florida?
No.
Glenn, you live among Bigfoot in Zwolle, Louisiana. Do you believe in Bigfoot?
Yeah, there's some Bigfoots over there.
Yeah, yeah.
For sure.
I don't think we're talking about the same thing
I
here.
don't think we are either.
I think I actually danced with one once in a bar in Zwolle
Yeah, that's
many
right.
years ago.